B.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what? Told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me? It's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Lot of scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just take the money and go step.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. What up, Savannah? I am excited to be with you again. We got another great show tonight. One of my partners and my brothers. What we're talking about, OAA, Ain't the Ain't. Why are we here? We are here because we want to change the narrative. What do I mean when I say change the narrative? So often people say that when a returning citizen, that means someone who has gotten out of prison, be it male or female, when they return, they automatically go right back into the system. That is not the case. That is not true. That is a false statement and notion. And what we're doing here on Incarceration to Incorporation is we are changing that false narrative. Why? Because many of us are successful in our own rights. We are successful educationally, occupationally, relationally, organizationally. I'm talking about all array round. We are successful. We may have started this thing out wrong, but look at us now. We are finishing strong. And so that's what we do here at Ain't the Ink. We provide a platform for returning citizens, for relatives of returning citizens, and for resources for returning citizens. Why? So that we can get that word out. Because when people know that they are not the only one going through what they have went through, it encourages them. It empowers them. And that's what we're going to do tonight. We have a young man that's on tonight that's going to share his story for that purpose, to encourage you and to empower you. So before I introduce him, what's up, Marie? My co-host, she's out. Her daughter is graduating tonight. Shout out to Shabri. We are proud of you. Also, Julius Hall, he's here as well. Thank Julius for this platform. ATR, All Things Relevant Media, he had the brainchild to be able to provide a platform for us to do this. And AB, what AB has done is helped us to think of incarceration to incorporation. He himself is doing that right now. He is going to start companies, and he's doing an exceptional job. So, without further ado, what's up, Eric?
What's up, my friend Julius?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, my brother.
So tell us, who are you?
I'm Eric Hendricks. I'm from Walton County, Georgia, and I love the Lord. I want to start out by first of all saying I give all honor and glory to God, and I just thank God for the opportunity to share a little bit about my life with those and maybe help someone who may be struggling tonight, who may be feeling down, who's just been released from prison, who needs some help, or you need someone to just talk to. I'm here for you, and I offer my time to you, and consider that. And what Julius was saying about knowledge, when you come out of prison, knowledge is key. If you come out of prison and you did not spend your time wisely, you squandered your time in prison, you would have come out with no knowledge of what to do with your life. And I've encountered that with so many men while working in the prison system. So, but I spent 10 years in prison. I had a 20-10, and I spent 10 years and 1 month to the door. I was released March the 7th of this year. And I had already, I don't want to get ahead of myself here by sharing too much all at one time. Julius has a nice list of questions here. And I'm afraid that I might get off a little bit. If I do, reel me back in, Julius. You're good at that?
I don't have any problem doing that. For example, let me reel you in for just a second right now. A shout out to all of our listeners right now. And Eric, tell me, just a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit about your time while you were incarcerated. I don't need to know the specifics, but tell me about a little bit of your growth while you was incarcerated. I like to use a term called progressive preparation.
Okay.
Knowing who I was going to be before I got out helped me to prepare myself. Articulate, effective leadership, things of that sort. So tell me a little bit about your time while incarcerated, how you progressively prepared to be who you are.
Well, preparing or thinking you're going to be something when you get out, and then coming to the grips, you're not sure if you're actually going to get out, is a hard question to answer sometimes. But I had in my heart the whole time the Lord was going to release me at the right time, that I was not going to be released early or too late, but that I would be out at the right time for my season of life. And so my faith was strong throughout my whole tenure of the 10 years that I completed. And so, but when I first was incarcerated at the county jail, I began to, because of my faith, I turned to the Lord immediately, and I began to grow spiritually instantly just by turning to the Lord. And then I began to mature. But there were things in my life that I wasn't sure about. And spiritually, I had questions about spiritual things. So, of course, the Lord will bring you to a place where He will cause you to grow. And there was a saying that we had at Phillips State Prison that we said, grow right where you're planted. Grow right where you're planted, and bloom where you're planted. And that's exactly what everywhere I went to, every prison I was shipped to until I got to Phillips, it was a growing experience. God revealed new things to me. I become more educated. And then when I went to Phillips, I entered a class called New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, where Julius and I were educated together, and we grew. Not only did we grow in education, but we grew in relationship. Julius Campbell and I became brothers. We were united and knit together, and that relationship, just like many other relationships while I was in prison, helped me grow. Julius challenged me. I'm sure I challenged him, and we challenged one another in this seminary and in our church itself. But we were constantly growing in the Lord, praying together, ministering to one another, going out and helping mental health issues, men who suffered from lack of care for their body, all kinds of issues that we had to deal with, which is what caused me to grow. It's not a situation that I would say, hey, I want to go jump in that situation. No, it was a situation that I encountered because of my walk with the Lord, my relationship with others, and the ministry that God had called me into. So everything that happened at Phillips, as far as education, my leadership, I was placed into leadership into a reentry dorm where I the last 3.5, almost 4 years of my stay there was in a reentry dorm. And so I was able to teach, to lead, and it was just a growing experience, Julius, every day. And then I had the challenge of dealing with one-on-one issues, with real life problems, with men having other relationship problems with other men and having to deal with those kinds of issues. It was just an ongoing, growing life experience. God granted that to me. It was a gift. I didn't look at it as just like today. Those things that happen in prison, challenges, most men look at as something that they don't want to deal with. But I viewed it, and I began to view things that was coming into my life that was uncomfortable as a gift from God. Pain is a gift from God, whether we realize it or not. So I recognized that early on, and it gave me encouragement to know that if you'll view things while you're in prison or incarcerated or just getting out, especially when you're first getting out, the things that's going to come to you may not be pleasant, but God knows where we are and what's going on in our lives and what our future looks like. And if we can view those things that's coming our way as gifts, God will lift us up. We rise above our issues when we view things as God's best coming to me.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You mentioned reentry. You said that for the last 3 years, you were a part of a reentry dorm. So that brings me to my next question.
Okay.
When you came home, was your transition, even though it is still fresh, was your transition smooth or difficult?
Okay. For me, and I'm gonna have to, in parentheses, put my family, because had I not had the healthy, loving family that I have, my transition would have been very difficult. If I did not have family, I knew through my incarceration, my family was very supportive and loving, and I had a place to go to. I didn't have to try to find an address. All those things, I already had comfort there, knowing that I was okay. Now, had I not had those things in place, of course, I would have spent my time looking. Okay, if anybody's in prison listening to me right now, if you are about to get out of prison, you need to be looking and calling and getting an address. Don't wait till the week of and then start calling Julius and calling me and saying you need an address. You need to be calling right now and establishing an address. But back to me, it was a smooth transition, to make it a short answer. And that was because of the support system I already had. And I also, there's 3 things that I live by, Julius, that's kept me not only sober, but it's kept me grounded and it's kept me focused. Okay. And those 3 things are, first of all, my accountability. For me, and I think for every person coming out of prison, every man needs accountability. And that's one of the hardest things. You can't get men in prison to be accountable to one another there. And they sure don't want nobody knowing where they're at or what they're doing when they first get out of prison. They want to do their own thing. But accountability, and then fellowship. You've got to have some friends, and then a body, a church body. Those 3, they work together perfectly. But if you have those 3 things working in your life, then they can help keep you stable, keep you grounded. People know where you are. They know that you're safe. They know you're okay. And you also are being responsible when you make yourself accountable to others.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
You say it was because of your family, and I agree, because everybody's reality is not like your and my reality.
That's true.
Needing that family support, gainful employment, stable housing, and community support. Right. But had you not had that, you were telling me about some fees and fines that you had upon getting
Yes.
out. Can you elaborate a
Yes.
little more about that?
Yes. Okay. So when I first came home, I knew that my license were suspended, first of all. Okay. That I was going to get those back. Had I went to a transitional center and been able to stay, I could have worked on that there. Okay. But that didn't happen. Okay. So, but when I came home, I had that to face. And then I had no idea what parole was going to require of me. So the first thing I did is I had to go get my license back, my driver's license. My mother had to carry me or carried me to check into that, and I had to go to a lawyer's office and ended up paying $5,486 and some change just to get my license reinstated.
Why is that? Why was that?
Because of a wreck that had happened in 2004, and it was still looming over my head. But my license, I had no idea that they were suspended for that very reason. Okay. So, but you come out of prison now. I've been spent 10 years and 1 month in there. Mind you, I have family. If I had not, I would be walking. Okay. But let's not assume that I was walking. Let's just go ahead and play it out like it is, like it happened. But I went and paid the money. I went and got my driver's license. Okay. That was another, $60 something to get your license, on top of the $5,486. Then I go to my parole officer. Okay. I went to the parole officer before I went and got my license, because I had to go there the next day. So I went there before I even checked into my license, before I knew it was $5,400. And I checked in with her, and she told me that I have 640 hours of community service. I have my fine. I have to pay a fine of $300 a month.
A month?
A month, every month. $300. The first 2 months, no, she told me the first 3 months I could pay $100 a month. And then I have to pay $300 a month until whenever. I do not know when. So that's a burden when you're talking about, I don't even have a job yet. Okay. She gave me 2 weeks to get a job. Okay. So, I knew I could get a job because of my electrical trade. Okay. I had that good going for me, but I wanted to make sure that I'm not jumping into something that's not in alignment with what God's doing in my life already. And so, anyways, when she told me that I had $300 a month, it kind of floorboarded me. I said, "What happened to the $30 a month fee that you're supposed to pay?" She said, "Well, you owe monies, which I don't owe any restitution.
Right.
I don't owe restitution, so I don't understand where." And I still, to this moment, and I think this is something that, Julius, that I'm definitely gonna have to check into, and may even have to have a lawyer. May have to pay a lawyer to get involved just to resolve this issue. Maybe we go before a judge or something, So, but anyways, that's where I'm at with parole. But then she come and told me that she needed me to have an assessment to see what classes I need to take. Okay. So I've been sober since February the 7th, 2012.
Right.
From all addiction. Okay. Not touched any drugs whatsoever. And that was what I was incarcerated for. So I said, surely she's not going to put me in a class that I've already taken or one that I actually taught at the prison, that. And she had the whole list of stuff I'd already done in prison.
Right.
And right in front, and she said, and she started talking about the classes she was going to make me take, and motivation for change. And I said, I taught motivation for change at Phillips State Prison. And she said, well, it's on your caseload and it shows that you accomplished it, but that was like a couple years ago. And I said, well, how relevant does it need to be for it to change? Where or how often does it change for it to need to be relevant for right now? I said, but anyways.
So hold on for 1 minute.
Yes.
$5,000 for your license, $60 for your parole, $300 for your fines and fees. Then you had to pay for a class that you already took.
Well, no, because I talked her out of putting me in that class. So, but she put me in another class. I had to go get an assessment, in which they put me in an addiction class, a meth addiction class. And I've told the man when I went in there, the man who was assessing me, who's teaching the class, and I shared with him, I'd been sober, since what I just said a while ago, February 7th, 2012. He said, well, this is what the judge calls aftercare. And so he said, you got to go through it. It's 12 weeks long. So go ahead and go through it. So I'm going through the aftercare classes now every Tuesday. I have to take off work early. Okay. I have to take off work early. A job that I got, I have to take off 2 hours early to get to this class on time.
Okay.
So when you start a new job and then you start telling them I need to take off some time, in the second week I'm there, I'm telling them, I got to take some time off.
Right.
But that's the thing that I was wanting to make sure that wherever I went to work, that I didn't just go get something that I could do like my electrical work. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be where God plants me, because I know that when I'm where I'm supposed to be with Him, that all these other little things that come my way are going to work themselves out in the wash. And He always works it all together. Listen, He works it all together for my good. Okay? He always works it together for my good. So we prayed about a job, and I'm about to get off the subject here, but we prayed about a job. And within an hour, the Lord answered a prayer about a job, and it's a job that I would never myself go choose. However, they called me and offered me the job. I went to the interview, and the interview was about my testimony.
Okay.
So, and when I got finished, they hired me on the spot. And so I'm working at this company. It's a great company, great benefits. It's half the money I would be making in my electrical field, half the money if I was working by the hour for them.
Right.
But I'm where the Lord wants me for right this moment, and I'll stay there till He moves me. So, but I can take off work when I need to, how often I need to, and they really work with me there. So,
well, what I want to do, right? Because I got a piece of paper that I'm going to, I definitely need to share, but I want to make sure that I'm systematic and staying on page. So we talked about your transition was smooth because you had those 4 components, key components that's necessary for having successful reintegration. Mm-hmm. And that is gainful employment, community support, a stable home, and family support.
Right.
But had you not had those things, you would have started out with an exorbitant fee and fines and burden over your head. Mm-hmm. Tell me this.
Yes.
Right now, did you find any resources when you came out? Were you aware of these resources, or did you go at it alone? You understand my question?
I don't know exactly if you're talking about resources for food or shelter or
no. You already had family support in that respect. I'm talking about resources that would classes that will, or programs that could help to alleviate some of that burden of those fines? Or when you came out, was there a probation or parole officer to let you know where these resources were? Because they didn't know you had this family support. They didn't know you had this gainful employment.
Mhm.
So were you aware of this information? Because when I was there, we were told in prison, in reentry, that, oh, you can contact these lists, these numbers, and a lot of those numbers were outdated and those addresses were obsolete. And
Right.
so, when I came out, I didn't know where any resources were. So
Right.
did you know where any resources were? Did anybody come up to you and told you that there were these resources available to you?
They're not in the counseling department nor in the prison system. No, we had great intel. I'm just going to put it that way. Inside the prison system, of being able to communicate information that we would that would be pertinent to us getting out. Okay, so we had a very resourceful man who was in our dorm, who was able to make contacts and get up to date lists, a little bit better up to date list,
Mm-hmm.
and who also had connections with other ministries and churches and programs, and especially people and pastors. He just is well connected, and he could, if somebody needed something, we could get together and come up with a solution and try to help them while we're there. Right? What that now, I knew about those numbers. I did not need myself that kind of help. Okay. But I often, seemingly on a daily basis, was turning men to those resources. But now counselors, they knew absolutely nothing. I mean, when you'd ask them a question, and I'm not just beating down on the prisons, the counselors. Okay, I'm not doing that. But I am telling you that they lack in their ability or knowledge of what to do. Often we know that we felt like they had no sense of a clue what to do with their job, and it's still that way. But yeah, I knew about the resources.
Okay, let me read a note here from one of our listeners.
Okay.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Will Hamjoy says, what about people who are not as fortunate to pay their fines and their fees? That question, I believe, is more so for myself, but you can step in and answer it. Right now, there are policies that are in the making. People are understanding our plight when we come out of incarceration.
Yeah.
And so they are changing policies and bills and laws, even as we speak. And so there is help coming our way. But what we would try to make sure we do is look for resources. When you come home, ask your probation officer or look for those reentry organizations, and they are plentiful, and see if they themselves may know someone. Networking is one of the greatest entities that we can have, because if you don't know something, somebody else may know something. So right now, Will, it is in the making. There are those who hear our cry and they are moving. I want you to continue to stay in contact with us, and we will have more information. I'm talking about definitive information about fees and fines momentarily. So thank you for asking.
One more thing on that, resources. When I came into my parole officer's office, right, something that was helpful is that on her wall she had some posters, okay, and those posters dealt with health insurance, dental, little needs like that. Like when you come home from prison, you're not been taken care of, and so you want a dentist or a doctor. Sound like I need one now. But if on the wall in there, she had a poster and it had a phone number for a dentist office, our dentist insurance, and for health insurance. So there is resources. She had told me I could call them and they could help me. Okay. Now, if you got, like, when you come out of prison, especially older men, well, I'll just put myself in a category. But if you come out of prison and you're on meds when you come out of prisons, like heart, blood pressure medications, anything like that, you have to continue taking that. And they're not going to you can't go to the doctor or hospital and just give it to you. So you're going to need some prescription written. So you have to have a doctor. And this is what that doctor would do. You know, you could go see them. That way you can keep on your meds and you don't lose. There's no break in your meds there. So there is a resource in the parole office. They have connections. You have to ask the questions. If you don't ask the questions, you're definitely not going to get any answers.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Asking these questions in advance or exactly when you come home, because if you don't ask, they won't tell. You know, you ever heard that old thing? Don't ask, don't tell.
Right.
Well, I guess that can relate to this situation right here. But there are some people that are getting ready to help in that area. So I encourage you, stay connected with us, and we will get that information to you real soon. So tell me, what are you doing now, Mr. Hendricks?
What am I doing now? Okay. Well, currently, I work every day. I get up at 4:30 every morning, and I have a devotion with my mother, and we pray together. Some joy that I get. Wanted to do that the whole time I was incarcerated, so I get to spend that time with the Lord with her. And of course, she fixes me breakfast. That's a nice treat. So she takes care of me as if I was 15 or 14. Okay. So y'all quit hating on the player. So, but anyways, I get to do that every morning. And then I go to work. I leave for work at 5:30 and I have to be there at 6:30 every morning. And, but I'm usually there 15 minutes early for my job, just for you guys who's just getting out of prison. Make sure you're early. It looks good. And then after work, I come home, you know, except for on Tuesdays, I have parole. I have to go to the little meeting for the meth class. And then after that, I come straight home. On Sundays or Saturdays, I work half days, so I don't have to go in tomorrow till 7:30, and I still get up an hour earlier and before I have to leave and spend time with the Lord with my mom, and then on Sundays I go to church, except for the first Sunday of every month. I have community service. And that's the day that I have to do community service, and I have to work 8 hours. I'm doing the very bare minimum. I'm not giving them any more time than I have to give them right now until this case. I have two cases. One has 300 community hours. Another one has 340 hours. And so the first one, that first case expires in 20 months. So I'm going to give them the bare minimum up until this 220 months is up, and then I'll pick back up and I'll put full force and getting that 340 knocked out as soon as I can.
So let me ask you this, and what's up, Mike? Mike Kelly says, awesome testimony, my brother. Thanks, Mike, for that word of encouragement. But let me ask you this. All right, some may say that you haven't been home a long time, and that, I guess, that space of 3 years is where they say most men and women recidivate. And we bind that together, of course. Yeah. But and you've been sharing with us some of the things that you are doing practically to maintain where you are right now. But my question to you is, I love what you said about accountability. I love that. I love what you said about fellowship. being
Yep.
around positive people. Of course, your faith is also
Sure.
part. But have you, since you've been home, recognized some that are in danger? And do you talk to them and encourage them about being sure not to go back the way they came?
You talking about guys who've gotten out of prison?
Yes.
Oh yes, I have. And I tell them the same things that I practice. Okay, and that's the accountability. Like I said, men do not want to be accountable to nobody. They don't even want to be accountable to their wives. You know, their gift God gave them to each other. They don't even want to be accountable to their own spouse. Most men don't, especially men who have been under the gun, such as men in prison who's been told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. And then you come out of prison because all you're fighting for is to get out and have some freedom. And then you're going to get out and you think you're going to make yourself accountable to somebody else. They don't want to. But it's the very thing that we need. We need accountability. You don't need to be anywhere that nobody else would need to know necessarily when you first come out of prison, because usually in those places are the secret places that we hide to do our mischief. So there's nothing wrong with making yourself accountable to somebody so somebody knows where you're at. You know, especially fresh home from prison, family wants to know where you're at. You know, they want to see you. Don't hide. So yeah, men who are first getting out of prison, I tell these guys, well, we have, you and I have a mutual brother who has gotten out of prison, got married, fallen into sin, back out on the path to destruction. Okay, I mean, it's just a matter of time. But he didn't want to tell anybody where he was going. He wants to do his own thing. He wants to have it his way. And that's going to be the end of the highway for him.
So let me ask you this then, because we are crossing. I was fit to say that principalizing bridge, but this is not theology. So we are crossing. Okay. We're crossing over into our next segment as we get ready to conclude. You got three audiences right now.
Okay.
Those that are on the inside, because
Okay.
again, we have a radio station going into Jessup. Then you have those returning citizens who have come home, whether it was 20 years ago or 20 days ago. And then the third group, which is the community, those who have no understanding of incarceration. So you have three different audiences. I want you right now to speak to each of those audiences a word of encouragement, especially as it relates to the perspective that they view as returning citizens. The community, that is, there is a negative, in some eyes, a negative perception of returning citizens. I want you to speak to the community about that, changing the narrative, and then a word to encourage those men and women who have come home, and then a word of motivation for those who are coming home.
Okay. Well, first, to address the community, there's so much that a community can do. The community can, when they know, and oftentimes the community does know when an incarcerated man or woman has been released from prison, and when they come home, but most of the time they get ostracized, forgotten about, not cared for, saw and seen, but not thought of. And this is the time. Today is your day, community, to be putting your best foot forward, to give of yourself, to give of your time, to give of your resources. Time to a person coming out of prison, time is something very, very valuable to us, because so much of it was taken from us. And so when we come home, we value every little moment. The moments I spend with my mother in the morning time, very valuable. My children just come from Arizona this last week, very, very valuable moments with them. what you can do, community, to help these men coming home and women coming home from prison is take time to spend time with them. Maybe they need a ride to the parole office. Maybe they need $5, $10, $15. Maybe they need a meal. Maybe they need a place to lay their head for a night or two till they can, till you can help, or the community can help together to find a housing suitable for those who have no place to live, no food to eat. There are thousands of men in prison right now sitting there because they have no address, absolutely no address. And even a more sore and sour note is those whom have charges who can't just go to any particular location because of a special charge that they have. And they need help. They need help from you. They need help from the churches. They need churches. They need help from us, even if it's praying for them, just loving them, or sending them an encouraging word. But words only go so far, community. And I'm speaking to you who are listening about doing something, not just talking about it, because we've talked and talked about it. And that's all we hear in prison is talk, 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 talk. It's time to do something for somebody else and quit being so me-centered. It's time to do something for the people in prison. And for those men who are returning, I want you to know that there's a big world out here and it's ready to destroy you. There is so many traps set for you. There's so many things for you to get involved with that will rob you of the stillness that you had while you were in prison. That peace of mind, that joy that you had, and there's joy found in prison. There is. It's found in the Lord. But that joy can be robbed in just a moment by making wrong decisions. And you guys who are getting ready to return, please make a plan. Please make a call. Please start writing letters. It may be archaic, but write letters, put stamps on envelopes, send it out. It may take months, but get it out and go ahead and prepare for yourself to get out. A place to live, food to eat, know where you're going to be on your first night out. Don't get out and be dropped at a bus station with philandering around, not knowing wherever you're going to go. Have a plan. Call somebody. You can call me. I'll try to help and direct you. I'll send you to Julius. We'll make sure. But together as a community and as peers, man, God has connected us all together for a purpose and for a reason. So let this be your time, returning citizen, to start putting your best foot forward as well. And to you guys who are still in prison, who think that you have no hope of returning home, maybe you have a life sentence without parole, but I can promise you this, that I have seen God turn situations around and the miraculous happened more than I can count. So I'm challenging you tonight to get your focus fixed, get it off of poor old little me, and get it on something that is greater than any power, and that is God Almighty. Put your eyes on Him, get them fixed on Him, and you look at those problems that you're having every day as a gift that God has given you to give you the experiences you need in life to train you up, to mature you, that you may grow in Christ Jesus.
Thank you, brother. That was good, brother. Listen. I think I might have to give you my seat. You spoke so eloquently. You were past the offering plate round. I tell you.
You can I can give you my cash out.
No. What's up, Craig? Craig Smith is watching. Good to have you too, brother. Eric, before we get ready to go, I just want to say thank you. And I know I wish you the greatest of success as you continue to transition in your reintegration process. I know you're doing some awesome things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, too, I am a man of faith,
Yep.
and God is just opening many doors for us.
Mm-hmm.
Why? So that we can continue to represent Him well. But even as we represent Him well, we are also representing our brothers and sisters that
Yes.
we have left
Yeah.
behind the bars.
Yes.
For there, and I say this often to those that are listening, especially the community, there are many more Erics and Julius that are still in prison who
Amen.
are ready to come home, who are educated, who are men and women of integrity, who are just looking for an opportunity. But like
Yes.
Eric said, they either A, they don't have any viable housing, or
Mm-hmm.
B, because of the issues of pardons and paroles,
Yeah.
there's no one, no voice for them. A friend of mine always says there needs to be a voice for the voiceless, and we need someone to step up, especially for those that have done a long period of time and they don't have anyone to step up. So I encourage those of you in the community, just like Eric has stated,
Mm-hmm.
look to see what's going on with your loved ones. You have somebody in your family or friend, the spear, that's in prison or that has some type of parole or probation.
Mm-hmm.
Nephew, uncle, aunt, brother, sister. Find out what's going on with them behind those bars. And we encourage you, even as it's time to vote, find out what your representatives, your senators, whoever you're getting ready to vote for, find out what they're doing as it relates to incarceration and
Yes.
trying to change this issue that we have in our society right now. What we're doing, we're changing the narrative. We
Mm-hmm.
started this thing out wrong,
Yeah.
but look at us now. We're
Yeah.
on the other side, finishing strong. So before I let you go, is there anything, any parting words, Eric, that you would like to say?
I just want to encourage, my brothers who are in prison again. I can't say enough about the meaningful relationships that I built while I was in the prison system. Very meaningful. You being one for sure, but I have many brothers that I left behind that I get to talk to. Thank God. And I just want to encourage them if they somehow get to see this, and anyone who's in prison that knows me, maybe you observed my walk from the time I was in all the way up to the end. It was all the Lord's work. It was not because of anything special that I did, but I just trusted God for my life and for every detail of my life and all of my experiences, the good and the bad, Julius, is what's made me into who I am today. So if you're having a rough experience right now, my friends in prison, just know that God wants to use those experiences to create His characteristics in your life today. So trust Him. Don't lean on your own understanding. Acknowledge Him in all your ways, and He will direct your path. I love you.
I like that. Will, what's up, Will? Will says, I pray that God will continue to order your steps, Eric. Mm-hmm. He said that he volunteered with the prison ministry previously, and it was such a joy. Will, we appreciate you. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at his name. It says, Will have joy. And I'm just thinking that, listen, he's already prophetically speaking. He will have joy. So I'm grateful for that. Listen, thank you for being on with us tonight, Eric. We will have you back as we do a follow-up to see what's going on in your life. Those of you that have joined us, again, we thank you. Share this with others so that it will be an encouragement to them as well. And when we come on every Friday, you can hit that share button. We got more stories. We have more resources coming your way. And we look forward to seeing you next Friday at this same time. Again, remember what we love to say. Julius Hall says, a debt once paid is no longer a debt. And then you know that I love to say, we may have started this thing out wrong, But check us out now. We
Yeah.
are finishing strong. We love you, and we'll see you all again next week if God's will. Good night.
Good night. Love you.
like this.